Brian, you want to?
Yeah, just a couple of words, and then obviously the great leadership of Liz Axelson will take over. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. John and I are pleased to be on and working with you. We have Megan Myers from Drake Loeb, who is the attorney. Everyone be gentle. She just got married, so I don't know. Is everything okay at your house, Megan? You're still working out?
Yeah.
Still working out okay?
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It was a good decision. Okay, that's good. All right.
Many blessings.
Thank you.
Michael Justice is to be a new member joining, but I think that's pretty much it. You guys have covered so much ground, and I've worked to read and watch and do all kinds of things to see what's happening, and you're to be commended. And so this meeting, I know John and I are going to be just getting acclimated with you all. We're going to be taking a back seat. So with that in mind, go ahead, Liz.
Okay. I'm just going to touch on.
So Liz,
Yeah, go ahead, Kenya.
before you start, I just want to make a statement here. I learned that there was a meeting with the 2 board members and yourself, and the committee members didn't know that. So we learned that when Mr. Rye announced that at the meeting. And so I just want to say that this has always been very transparent. Any communication that we've had has always been online with all of the members of the committee. No changes or transitions have occurred without the knowledge of the committee being present and on video. So it is my hope that as we continue forward, that things of that nature does not occur. And if it does occur, the committee should be made aware of it. And that's just my opinion.
Kenya, thank you so much for your input. I think there was a transition, and it's perfectly appropriate for Liz and John and I to meet to be brought up to speed. But thank you for your input. Go ahead, Liz.
You're very welcome, but transitioning doesn't mean that you make a minor change to the paperwork that we did.
Okay.
And so that was done without the committee members.
We're not doing
And so
this.
therefore that should not happen.
We're not
Thank
doing
you,
this.
Mr. Rye.
We're not doing this. We're
One
not doing
second.
this.
Wait a minute.
This is not a personal grievance committee. This is
No,
a
it's
unity
not.
committee.
This is not. This
So
is a
thank you very
comprehensive
much.
committee that's been
That
very
was
No,
very
transparent.
no. Hold
obvious.
on a second.
Go right ahead,
You know
Kenya.
what?
Keep it up.
May I please say something here? And I understand what you're saying, Brian, that absolutely you should be brought up to speed, but to make changes without committee present, I beg to differ with you.
It was duplication of a word. What was it, John? What was it? Liz, what was the duplication? So thank you, Kenya, so much. Instead of asking, the accusations are really terrific. The issue is it was a duplication of a word. Liz, could you just educate people who are having an issue? Because there's nothing, behind the scenes going on that's negative, and we appreciate all that input.
Brian, don't be condescending, because that was something. If there are changes made, the committee should be made aware of it. So don't try and poo-poo it and blame Kenya, because that was a concern that I had as well. Thank you.
I'm happy to just answer a few questions. All right. And that way, if the committee has concerns about it, that's fine.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate that.
Okay. So, having been in the field for about 37 plus years, from time to time, there are changes in planning boards and in town boards. And when those changes occur, you try to do your best to orient people to what's happening, So in my opinion, it was perfectly appropriate to meet with Mr. Rye and Mr. Foreman. I forwarded them all the emails that all of you had so that they could see all the materials that we've been working on as a group. And I explained to Karen that when we were looking, I'm going to show you this on screen, if I may. Can you allow me to share, Megan?
I think my biggest question was just when I tried to ask what the changes were, I couldn't get an answer. I had to, it was just back and forth on emails, and finally I called you, and then it was like, okay, It just,
Oh, I'm happy
That
to
was all.
explain it. I'm going to
Yeah,
show it to you.
I have no objection. Of course, they need to be brought up to speed.
Liz, you should be able to share now.
Changes made.
Okay, let me show you.
That's it.
So, okay. So this is the tracked changes survey.
Right, yep.
Okay.
saw that.
All these changes that you see in red, they all have to do with the committee. And when I was showing all these different materials, the most current ones to Mr. Foreman and Mr. Rye, I pointed out that one of the changes that was going to be made, okay, there are two questions where we talk about different areas of town. And I had a lot of notes from the committee. And one of the notes that the committee had was that they were concerned about, I think it was Brinkerhoff and Rombout, where they were, didn't make much sense. And the committee wanted Brinkerhoff and Duchess Park. You see, I made that change. That was the committee. Everything else in here was the committee, except that Mr. Rye was looking at this thing that said Rombout and 90 corridor. And he asked me, how come Rombout is in two places? And I said, well, the committee wasn't certain about that. And he said, why wouldn't that be Castle Point and 9D? And since we had Rombout here and Castle Point is over on the 9D corridor, I thought, well, that seems like a good idea. So I went ahead and made that change. And I'm sorry if the committee's upset about that. I was just trying to make a practical change. And everything else in this document is all based on comments from the last committee meeting. So that's my
Yeah,
explanation.
I just want to clarify. So I have absolutely no problem with the new committee members being brought up to speed, and that's to be expected. I would not expect anything else. Where my concern comes in is when during the meeting, it was mentioned, during the board meeting, it was mentioned, we've made minor changes to the survey and we plan to push it out by March. So that immediately kind of raises some concerns for me. I can't speak.
yeah,
for
they
anybody else.
definitely,
For me,
when Brian spoke, he definitely made it sound like it was more than, I mean,
so, which, again, that's fine, but we're talking about a committee of people who all along have been working together. Even if I'm adding a period, I'm going to say, hey, y'all, what do you think of this? I'm not going to belabor the point, but I just want to make sure that if there's changes that are being made, I don't want to sign a document that I don't know what changes are being made. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
I will add something if I can. It was me who mentioned at the board meeting
Right,
about our meeting with Brian and Liz.
right.
And as you know, I said very clearly that there were an insignificant tweak.
No changes.
Okay. So we just wasted about 20 minutes of getting huffy and puffy about nothing. Nothing.
it's-
Zero.
I think it's good to air these things and discuss them so that the committee,
So we're talking about a trust issue here, and I gotta be honest with you.
Well, who's
There's not a lot of.
Okay, hey, guys,
I don't
stop.
feel all
So-
Hey,
right.
enough. Ann, enough. John, enough,
Thanks,
please.
Jack.
Okay, I would like to make a change too on that thing because I read it. And we have a thing called, if you put it back up,
okay,
it's a minor
I had a
change.
couple of comments
It's a
on
minor
that.
change, but an area called Fishkill. And Fishkill is the whole town. We can't have that. I believe we're talking about the village of Fishkill. Am I correct, group?
I don't remember that. That wasn't in my notes.
So
I don't
that's what I'm
recall that,
saying,
Mr.
but I do see the area called Fishkill. And I don't believe we talked about it at all, Liz.
Are we working
Well-
on the survey now?
Okay, actually, I would like to get to that, but I just want to
Okay.
touch on the timeline quickly, real quickly, and then go to the survey, if that's okay with the committee. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Okay with me?
Okay, so let me just, I'm going to briefly put up the timeline. And the timeline always had that our next step was to get this survey out.
Right.
So needless to say, we had to adjust for, having lost kind of a month in the transition period, that's not that unusual. And so basically, you'll see here in the timeline, I'm going past the completed items. Step 10 is prepare comprehensive plan update for the update committee number 4. This is comprehensive plan update committee number 4, February 23. So I looked at the calendar and thought, what would be the earliest date that we could possibly get this, notify the public and get this out? And so right now, these are the tasks I want to focus on after we're done with the timeline. And it's really just the survey and questionnaire. And then I also gave you something about how do we get this thing out? We've discussed it before. I put it on paper. So then the next thing that would happen after this meeting is hopefully at the town board meeting on March 2nd, they announce that there's going to be a comprehensive plan update survey. And then hopefully we launch it March 9th or March 16th. We give folks a 4-week timeline and then try to conclude it on April 6th. And everything flows from there. Then we have a break where I'm updating the survey responses, and we could still have a meeting on May 25th. In my opinion, we'll have the compilation of the survey and go on and focus on the items that you see listed here. Okay?
The woodwork saying he owned it. And then it got tied up in some kind of legal mumbo jumbo.
Is somebody talking
Who's
about the committee
talking?
business?
Please
just a
mute
friendly
your.
reminder, if you are not speaking, please make sure that you are muted so that the speaker can clearly be heard. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's the schedule. I tried to make it doable. And if you have read all the way through this, maybe you haven't had time, but it basically has, I'm not going to go step by step because that'll take up time away from the survey, concluding hopefully in October 19, 2022. And what you'll see from May 25th on is us starting to take all those responses from the survey. I've said from the beginning that this is going to be substantially built on community input. That's why the survey is so important. That's why it's so important that we get it out and launched as soon as we can. So anybody have questions about the timeline, the way it's been updated?
How are we gonna launch this survey out? Has anybody had an idea? How
I sent out my
are we gonna
recommendation.
send it by pigeon, by regular mail? How are we gonna send this?
Well, we can skip right to that if you want.
Well, I had some questions on the timeline.
Okay, let's go back to the timeline for a second.
Yeah, and if I could urge committee members, let's stick to the agenda at hand, because otherwise we're going to be all over the place and we'll never get anything done. So I do have a couple of specific comments about the timeline.
Okay,
So
good. I have my red pen ready.
Number one is, this is probably more of a comment than a question, but I'm not sure that we need such a gap of non-meetings between February 25th and February 23rd and May 25th.
Okay.
I know it's probably because there's a lot of work to be done to get the survey out and to process it and to analyze it and all that.
Okay.
But I just think there probably are other things we can do meanwhile.
Okay.
As a whole committee. And I wanted to see what other committee members thought going, what is that, like 3 months between meetings?
It's
Almost 3.
Yeah. Yeah. We
So
could
that-
focus on a lot of things, vision statement and all the other. bits
Yeah,
and
which we
pieces.
probably won't get to tonight.
No.
Yeah,
Probably
I agree. I think that, I mean, I feel like I can handle a monthly meeting, especially if we can push out some of the other things while that's being worked on.
So maybe we should aim for an end of March.
I was thinking either, end of March or somewhere in April. Again, we should
Okay.
be aware of the town board meetings.
Yep.
So that we don't conflict with those, but For instance, I mean, I think we could do probably April 13th.
Is that a
Or we-
Wednesday?
Yeah, or we
Okay.
could do a, a late March meeting. Not sure what the best date would be, but
Yes.
I like April 13th because then we're working right in the middle of it.
Yes. And my mother's like, oh, I don't know anything. And I got in.
Yeah, I think April is a good idea too, especially that, there's people here juggling town board meetings as well.
And that is
this
the
will give
second.
everybody a chance to fully, take part in the process. Excuse me.
so then if we're agreed on that, you could, Liz, maybe work on factoring that date in.
Okay, that would be, what I would do is I would make that meeting number 5. And it would be April 13th. And we'll just focus on everything but the results of the survey questionnaire responses.
That sounds good.
Does that sound all right with everybody?
Yes.
Awesome.
My second comment was, I'm just wondering if there's a way we can add a more informal community meeting somewhere along the line before we get to a formal public hearing. And I don't know when the best time for that will be, but maybe we should all think about that and see where we are at a certain point and see where COVID is at that point and see if an in-person meeting might actually work out somewhere in there. Because I found that informal community meetings on these plans really help. It brings the public really right into the middle of it. And, we could do things like even maybe going over survey results with the public, and people might have questions about it. Possibly confirming a vision statement that we should have pretty well drafted, at a point in the near future. So things like that. So I would leave it open-ended for now, but really try to figure how and when we could add a community meeting in person.
I like that idea.
Could that
Yeah.
be the meeting in May, Liz? We were thinking about having one right before Memorial Day weekend to announce what the results were, survey results.
That wait a minute here. Hang on. Are you talking about review of let's see. It was number 18. It was for June 1st, joint CPU and town board. Or you may have been referring to the comprehensive plan update committee meeting 5 on May 25th.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was thinking about.
Well, that was meant to be a committee meeting. I'm wondering if we should add in something. Maybe it would be nice to have a
Public participation
before
combo.
that meeting.
Before that meeting.
Because these meetings are usually like an evening 2-hour thing. And I have to tell you, I kind of wondered about whether it would be possible to do like maybe a forum and then sort of focus group sessions or something like that. In other words, maybe a half a day on a weekend. I don't know what people feel about that, where the first part is kind of just open discussion about things that people are concerned about, and then have maybe 4 breakout groups, 4 areas of focus. There are a couple ways to do that. We could also have stations where people could go around and leave comments on certain issues. So those are some ideas. And I think, let's see, it should be after the April 13th committee meeting, but maybe before the committee meeting on May 25th. So, and again, I don't know what you all think about trying to do something on a weekend day, or if we want to try to do something on an evening when there isn't a town board or planning board meeting when people could come in.
Yeah, sometimes weekends, Saturdays, a Saturday morning
Mhm.
works out pretty well because although, some people do have kids and other activities they're doing, but if we planned it out far enough ahead and, made it sound like a really good opportunity for people to participate, I think enough people would come out for a weekend meeting.
Anybody else?
Love to, but weekends are with my kids.
Got it.
Sorry, Jonathan.
Well, I have kids too. They're just grown up.
Well, we can also look for an evening. That's still a possibility too.
Sure.
Just look at the town schedule and see what evenings are possible.
And we don't have to make that decision right now, right?
Nope, but
Right.
let's think about it.
And then I just had one third quick thing at the very end of the timeline where we're adopting the plan on October 19th, same night that we're closing the public hearing. And I think that's not usually a great idea to do because you might get some really good comments at that last part of the public hearing. And the committee might want to address them and
Okay.
maybe further revisions. So I would tend to prefer having the plan adoption, at least for the next town board meeting, which I think is November 2nd, or even the one after that. I think the town board meets generally twice a month, so.
Okay, hang on, let's see.
But that would be up to the town board members, but
So like November 18th, or is it, wait, what is it? November 16th, maybe? That would give the committee time if they needed to get back together and figure out how to do the revisions. In other words, yeah, I would assume the committee would attend the October 19th meeting. We hear public commentary. The committee would want to probably go back and make some refinements. And then if we came back to a November 16th meeting, we would have had time to make those refinements and get it back out, maybe.
Liz, why are we locked into only Wednesday?
Well, the town board is Wednesday. We aren't locked into Wednesday. That seemed to be what worked for the committee.
I don't remember we even discussed that.
oh yeah, we did.
But Wednesday's the only day, because again, you basically have 2 Wednesdays out of every month are gone regardless. Because of the town board meeting. I mean, Jonathan has his one meeting a month and that's on a Thursday. Correct, Jonathan?
Yep.
All right. And I don't know of any other meetings that we have during the month that we can't try and make it, even if it's just one time outside of a Wednesday.
Mhm.
I mean,
I would be okay with that. I just would need some advance notice.
well, that's what we're doing now. We're planning out. But again, I'm hearing we're locked into that Wednesday, and
Well, we
don't
were
have to
talking about the town board adoption of the plan, which would be a Wednesday because that's when the town board does meet. So let's stick with that first and not get sidetracked. I hate getting sidetracked.
I mean, we can talk about that if everybody, I don't know exactly how to set up, if there's a way to set up a poll where we can get a sense of what nights of the week does anybody have conflicts?
You could do like a Google, what's it called? A doodle poll. Have you ever done
Doodle
that?
poll.
I don't know how to do that.
I can do it. It's pretty easy. If you want.
I mean, it's fine.
It's very easy. You just, I think you go to doodle.com and then it'll walk you right.
Yeah.
You go to
I can,
doodle.com and then you pick dates. So Liz, if you're the person that really needs to be there, you would make sure that the date that you're choosing
Right.
are dates that you currently have a conflict with. And
yeah,
then you would choose
I would need to
time.
X out. I would need to X out several.
No, you don't need to
Yeah.
X out anything. You just need not to pick those dates. So say you're not available on Wednesdays for the rest of the year. You wouldn't pick Wednesday. You would pick the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday you're available. And then you would put Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday going forward. And then you would put that out to the committee members. Then each committee member will then answer the doodle page on which days and times work best for them. And then that information comes back to you and it'll give you votes on each area. And then based on that, you can come back to the committee and say, 6 people said Tuesdays work, 8 people said Saturdays work. And so we're going to go with the majority. And then, but it has to start with you, because without you, we can't proceed. So it would work with you. So I guess, making sure that you and the 2 board members have sync your schedules together and then go. I'm sure Greg knows how to do a doodle page.
I had a feeling Greg would know how to do it. All right, so I can speak to him about.
Yeah, I'd be happy to figure it out if I don't already have it somewhere in my memory bank or in my intuition. I'll be happy to look into that. We can talk about that tomorrow or next week.
That sounds good. Anything else on the timeline? Those are good comments.
So are we in agreement to change the actual adoption to either November 2nd or 16th? At least for the timeline purposes?
It would have to be a town board meeting date, and those
Yeah.
are the town board meeting dates. I like the 16th because it gives the committee time if we need to confer somehow between October 19th. It gives us almost a month.
That sounds
I
good to me.
agree. I agree. Sounds good.
Agreed.
Thank you all.
Any other schedule comments, questions? Want to do the survey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yay.
So I'm just going to make notes in red pen. I've got it up on the screen if you want to see it. I don't know. I would imagine you want to see the clean version. I can share that. And I can always show you the track changes one if you need to. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, it's good, Liz.
So who has anybody have comments on number 1? Or question number 1, I should say.
That looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, so let's look at 2 and 3 together. And just for reference, hang on. Let me just.
Oh, you're playing with me now.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to have it handy in case we need to switch to that. And back to the clean one.
Okay, well, I do have a question, Liz, with Fishkill. Because everything there is in Fishkill itself. And unless we're talking about different hamlets, and I guess Fishkill should be the village of Fishkill.
I guess I looked at this as, for example, as a resident of the town of Esopus. When you ask somebody where they live, they'll say Riften or Ulster Park or Port Ewan. Those are like hamlet areas. They're not incorporated areas. They're just areas that people, that's where they say they're from. And so this list for both of these questions kind of I threw something out and you guys have chewed on them a couple times. And we can change anything you want.
I do have 2 comments. Where is Lamola?
That is
Am I
over
pronouncing that
on
right?
I don't know.
Hopewell Junction by Hopewell.
Okay.
It's
It's on-
actually, it's Scandinavian, it's Lomala.
Lumberlock?
Yes.
It's over on the eastern
up
side?
82 toward Hopewell Junction, it's on the right-hand side. They've got like a wagon wheel on the entrance to that kind of subdivision.
Yes, yep, thank you. And I'm just curious, why was Merritt Park removed?
Yeah, I think you guys asked me to remove that.
I
Hang on.
don't remember. I just was
That's
curious
That's why
why
I'm
that
keeping
was-
this.
Well, I think Merrick Park is actually sort of a development, exactly, development name. It's not actually an incorporated
like a
name.
township, kind of a hamlet.
Exactly.
Is there another, because I don't know, I guess I kind of feel like that's a pretty significant chunk. Is there a different reference? Like I always call it like that neighborhood by Walmart. Like I don't think we want to put that in there, but is there another reference that maybe we can?
You mean delete that? Well, you mean add it back?
Did we talk about putting a map on this?
We did.
Okay.
And I looked at a bunch of different mapping platforms and I couldn't find one that showed all these or that it would be easy to edit to show that. I can try again, but I also,
I just was curious. I mean,
Yeah.
if the committee kind of felt like that wasn't something to put in there, I mean, that's fine. I just was curious why that was taken out.
we didn't have it in and I didn't put it in. It's not impossible to put in. It would add, I guess what we would do is.
I mean, it makes sense though, what
It would
James
be
is
page,
saying, that
it would be
it's
the
like,
second page, I guess.
To the first gentleman's comment, Fishkill in the context of what we're doing here is ambiguous. And so if we really mean the village of Fishkill, which has obviously, in addition to just being a distinct place, also has other kind of municipal political considerations to take into account. If we're going to refer to the village of Fishkill as Fishkill in the context of what we're doing, it probably should say V/Fishkill or village of Fishkill or Fishkill and then village in parentheses, or something that exclusively identifies that particular municipal subdivision as being the village, because all the locations listed are in fact within the confines of the town of Fishkill.
Yeah, he's accurate. I agree.
It's a
It
good
should
point.
say V-Fishkill because
And that also takes care of Merritt.
I think we could get rid of
Technically, Barrett is
Chelsea.
within the confines of the village of Fishkill.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you, John. Sorry.
So-
If we got rid of Chelsea, because Castle Point 90 corridor is kind of the same area, and then include Merritt Boulevard or whatever you want to call it.
That was actually going to be the next thing I raised, John. Most of Chelsea, at least is how I understand it, is technically in the town of Wappinger, not in the town of Fishkill.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you guys want to get rid of Chelsea?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that, yeah.
And just to repeat, I'm gonna do V/O Fishkill. For
Village of
Fishkill.
Fishkill, V/Fishkill, just anything that clearly indicates that it's in fact the municipal subdivision that's the village.
Yep.
Separate and distinct from the town itself.
Yep. I'm gonna do, if it's
And
okay
then
with
you
you
don't
guys.
have to add in the Merritt because, as James said, it's kind of a neighborhood or development rather than an area, and that's covered by the village. So that does make sense to me.
So is Merritt's out? We're not putting that back in.
It makes sense to me now, so that's
Okay,
you know,
it's fine.
unless
This is
somebody
all, these
else-
are all places that,
Right.
people refer to. It's not, but, your perspective matters more on this. So what else? So I'm going to do V/Fishkill for that. Get rid of Chelsea. What else? That'll simplify things for people.
Mhm.
What are you doing about the Merritt Boulevard?
That was already
component?
taken out.
Yeah, and Ann makes a good point about that. It is a section over there, and it's all new. Well, new for me. I've been here a little bit longer, but I mean, over the last 10, 15 years. But It is on the cusp of the village of Fishkill. It is an area.
It is very large. There are a lot of units in there.
I mean, to me, I would call it Armstrong's Farm, but nobody would get that one.
I think it's distinctive enough to give it a name. I mean, people, when they say they live off of Merritt, you know where they are.
Yeah, I gotta say, I know Merritt. If you tell me you live in Merritt Boulevard, I'll know where you live. If you tell me you live in like Lamola, I'm not gonna know.
Lomala.
Lomola, sorry.
Nobody even knows how to pronounce it. I could take that out if you guys, if it's not a thing.
No, Lomela is a distinct area.
Okay.
It is a distinct area.
So
Yeah.
getting back to
I
Merritt,
think we should
Merritt
add
Park.
Merritt back, honestly,
Agreed.
because
Okay.
Yes.
there's so many
Merritt, though, is
people
that-
there. What are they going to say? I don't know any of these places. I live in Merritt, and
Okay. Let's put it back in. I'm gonna put it, I guess I would put it back where it was. So after 90 corridor, it would say just Merritt Park. Or
The
should it
challenge
say,
with Merritt Park, though, is that part of Merritt Boulevard, and this is why I just take issue with the name Merritt, and I don't want to be pedantic about it.
yes,
But if you look at basically where like the entrance to the gap is as you move off of Route 9, that's roughly where the village town line is. So the majority of people who live on Merritt Boulevard live in the town of Fishkill, don't live in the village. The people who live, I guess, west of that, or southwest of that particular point on the map, they actually live in the village of Fishkill. So I don't know what you want to call, because you've got, like, to your point, you've got Van Wyck Glen, you've got Van Wyck Meadows, you've got all these kind of subdivisions that are in there, some of which are part of condominium complexes. I don't know the layout of all of them.
Yeah.
But some of that's
I
the
vote for
village.
Merritt Boulevard. Everybody knows it.
I think Merritt Boulevard.
can you guys see the screen? Can you
Yep.
see where it's showing? I looked up Merritt Park.
Yep.
And
Well,
it
Merritt
says-
Park, Liz, part of
Yeah.
Merritt Park, where the gap is, that is actually the village. All right, the
Okay.
protection engine takes care of that part of the gap. All right, and there's a couple of units in there. But again, everybody who lives there now doesn't really think they're actually the village. They really know it as Merritt
So
Boulevard.
Merritt, just Merritt or?
Merritt Boulevard.
Merritt
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed. Just
Has
as
a lot
Michael
of
had
units
pointed
in there.
out.
Yeah, and it has a
Merritt
lot of
Boulevard.
units.
Merritt Boulevard it is.
Good.
Yay, team. So I'll change that in both of them. Sorry. Gotta get a little off the chain once in a while.
Yes. We do
Okay.
that.
Got to. So are we done with 2 and 3?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
And I can, if you'd like, I can add a map. It'll be the whole second page.
I think that makes sense.
That's interesting. Why not? So people that don't know where Lomala are would then
Yeah.
get a full understanding of where it is.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
And it's not in Kansas.
So I'm going to do that,
Put
but
the
I'm
wagon
gonna,
wheel.
I'm going to need to have a designated person to speak to look at the map before this is finalized and make sure that I'm putting all these little places where they really are.
I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you, James.
I'll be happy to designate that to Fred Cantor is what I meant to say.
Oh,
He's delegating.
isn't that something?
Yeah, no, I'll be glad. I'll be happy to do it.
Okay.
Just trying to have a little fun here, you know?
Okay, see? Okay, so now we're going to former page 2. Because there's going to be a map here. And we're on comment 4. And this one, what the committee asked me to do is so that it doesn't look like we're giving a set of priorities, to just put it in alphabetical order, which is what I did. And I can show you what the track changes thing looks like if you want to have your brain scrambled.
Close your eyes, Brian.
Okay. I mean, you can see it's just in alphabetical order and it's a little more random. Is that okay with everybody?
I'm good with
Yeah,
that.
stay right here for a second. Stop moving around. I'm just not that good. I'm a man. I can only do one thing at a time here.
I can relate.
That looks good. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going.
Can you
Done.
scroll up? Can you scroll up just a tiny bit? Just let me see the top of that piece.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, other areas of concern is disappearing just for a moment.
That was
Is that, nope, sorry.
good.
Want to see the last question? You good?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah, I said, you have eight items. 3, 4, 5.
Well, the 8th item is the other areas of interest or concern, right?
Yeah, but it says give each a number from 1 to 7. If you have 8 items, you should have 1 to 8.
So they could
No, but the
number.
Well, that's a number that needs to be.
You don't, I didn't think you number the other areas of interest.
You put them in order, and if let's say your first one isn't listed, you're going to put 1 down on other area and specify, and then number the rest.
That
I
was the
mean,
way
if-
I interpreted
Oh, but then you'll come
But
up with
then
8.
you would
That's
need
what
a
he's
number
saying.
8.
You need a number. I'm only saying you need 1 to 8. Because
I
if you
could
have
change-
eight items there,
So let's
Right,
just,
so the way
Or
I would think is that
you
you would
could
just number the
not
ones that are
put
listed there,
all-
and then others you would add.
You would just specify, so don't even have a bar in front of other areas of interest. And then you could put, if there are other areas of interest or concern, please specify. And do that.
okay, hang on. So that would be another, maybe that would be a 4, there'd be a 4A and a 4B. And it'll be, so it'll still be 1 to 7.
Yeah.
And then it'll say if there are other areas of concern, please specify or please describe. Describe, specify.
Specify.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Keeps it short.
That's nice. Yeah, good. Okay, we're on to number 5 and 6.
Is there any way that you, well, I'm sure you can do it. I don't know how the committee feels, but to add one of those, like circle bars. So it's like you put out 1 through 10 and somebody fills in or circles the number or whatever. I think that might be easily skipped over or missed without having some kind of visual aid to draw attention to it.
So are we adding the bar to give them another way of expressing it, to circle it?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, so, you say, how good or bad is traffic, blah, 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 1 to 10, and then say, circle your.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, I know. What
So that it gives people, again, it kind of gives them pause, like, oh, what's this 1 through 10 numbered out? And so if you say, 1 being very good and 10 being very bad, please check next to, your number, your preferred number or something.
I think you mean like.
Oh, Jackie, you're muted.
Yeah, I see. I think you mean like put a timeline and 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 1 is you have the word very good, and at 10 you have the word very bad, and circle a number. I mean, that's one way of doing it.
On the electronic form, it'll be really easy because you could just do like a drop down or something like that. But on the paper copy,
I mean, I think it would be fairly easy to do that. Like when you're at the doctor's, they're like, how bad do you feel? It's like smiley face and then all the way down to the big frown. I think it's just another visual to alert people that there's a question there, because I think it could be easily missed.
So get rid of the blank and add a bar of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And also add an R in that last very.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, very bad.
I
Okay.
thought it was supposed to be Yiddish like oy vey.
Yeah, I like it.
But I'm looking at this from a different point of view now. So
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I like the idea of the numbers that you would circle. That sounds like a good idea.
Okay. All right. Want to go to number 6?
Okay.
You sure?
I don't look confused, do I?
Well, anyway, they're all related. I'm going to keep the screen the way it is. I'm just
So I just. Current 6?
Yep. And I want to just show you the tracked one on that real quickly, because we kind of got into this. Well, no, I guess we didn't. No, I think we must have gotten into the session before and ended up with these intersections.
Yep, we did.
Because we really didn't chew on it that much last time. I thought we were kind of done with this one, but let's go back to the clean one and look at what do we think?
Those are the only real traffic problems we have.
I had no addition to that.
And people can always add other
What
areas.
if it was instead of other specified, if it was an all of the above? What if they had issues in all of those? Should they be checking all of those? I guess.
Well, they get to check all that apply.
Yeah,
So they-
I don't know about all of the above, because I think it'll be people like curmudgeon-y people like me would just be like, yeah, all of the above.
Okay, we don't want to skew the.
We don't want to lead anybody.
Plus, they can check as many as they want and even add an extra.
Yeah.
Would we be able to maybe describe where these are? I don't know the road by number. Like, I know where Main Street is. I know some of the roads by name, but I don't know them by like route number.
Oh.
Well, I wonder if there's a way to, it's going to get a little.
Add that to the map.
I was going to say it's going to be a busy map, but I'm wondering if we can number routes on the map.
Go, James. We add them to your task.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What?
We're adding to your task. We're adding
I still
we're
can't.
all right. So see what my fingers are doing.
You
We're
could,
adding
do
more
color,
work.
you could do a color coding or something like that. Also, you know.
I think it'd be easy to add route numbers. You just write them on the line.
Yeah, James can do it. Totally.
Gonna wave the wand and it'll just happen. I know, I got you. I'm sure we can figure it out.
I have a map person. Her name is Megan.
Nice. We could do
Spells
that.
her name differently than Megan that's running the show here. So slightly differently, same pronunciation. Anything else on number 6?
Would it be at all helpful to, have people say, okay, I have a traffic problem here, but it's at this time of day? Does that matter? Should there be a time indication? Because I think, or should we just assume that it's always rush hour in the morning and the evening?
And school time,
Yeah.
when the bus is let out.
Yeah, Monday.
Right.
Is it Monday through Sunday? You're really starting to drill down to some stuff. Should it be a morning, afternoon, evening? Because there's times where it's a clear run all the way through.
Yeah.
I was able to make it shop right in 3 minutes this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I
During
couldn't
the
do that on
day,
a Friday.
Yeah, during the day at certain times it's clear. Weekends at certain times it's clear. But I'm just wondering if that would be helpful for this purpose.
It sounds logical, Brian. I sort of concur with you on that.
I
Thing
get where
is,
you
if
guys
we-
are going, but at the same time, we're not trying to do a traffic survey. We're trying to do a comprehensive plan survey. The idea being that people identify, like, we all know where the traffic is. And I got to be honest with you, as someone who lives here and works here, all of the pre-populated options, for lack of a better term, they're all sore points for people who live and travel through the area. And so if we're just looking to kind of sample where the broader community has a problem with traffic, that's fine. I mean, half of this is for the state DOT to put somebody out there to have them count cars anyway. With that in mind, I don't know that we necessarily need that level of specificity to go ahead and update the comprehensive plan. And so while we can all agree that there's traffic in all of these designated corridors and then some, how much of this is really within the scope of the comprehensive plan, and how much of this is really something that should be turned over to state DOT or the highway department?
Michael, you helped with the question. Thank you.
And also, if we want to follow up in the analysis of what people think are their problem areas, we can always check with, DOT traffic counts and volumes and from other sources to confirm whether, people were observing what is really happening or whether they're perceiving that something is happening that maybe they're overreacting to. I don't know. But we can always supplement the answers to this question with real traffic data, is what I'm saying.
I don't think we need that level of specificity at this point.
So let's roll with it. Roll with what we got.
Okay, 6 is a go. 7.
I can tell you the answer to that.
Yeah, I think everybody can answer that one really easy.
You could probably write a whole page, maybe a couple pages.
It's a general question. Let's let it be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, 8. Originally, this question was, tell us all the ways that you go. And the committee was like, wait a minute, let's just ask people for what are their first, second, and third choices, which is great. You guys reframed the question. And I think I'm going back to the clean one. And I think it's better. I mean, I think a lot of these questions are better because the group really kind of dove in and made things clear.
Yeah, I don't have any comments to change it.
No, 8 looks good.
9.
Oh.
Good.
Good.
And then we're on 10. If I walk or bike somewhere, check all that apply. And I remember we had a discussion because there was a concern about people, grass or dirt pathway between or behind buildings. And I feel like I think it's worth noting when people are walking places that make more sense for them, that aren't established or improved. So
it can't hurt.
10 looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
11's okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, now 12 has some breakouts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have a question on 12B. I would personally, I think, putting in the Route 9D and Route 9, etc.
And we're having a hard time hearing you.
I would say, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I would say that putting in Route 9D, Route 9, etc., is kind of leading. So maybe just omit that and say, where would you like to see new needed businesses or services in the town?
And just get rid of the references.
And get rid of the references.
Fine. Yeah. Is committee okay with that? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I agree with
In
Dan.
the end, people, like, if I wanted them to put a nuclear power plant on Cedar Hill Road, forget about what anyone thinks about nuclear power. It's a zoning issue. And so rather than push people into thinking things that don't make any sense, just ask what people want to hear, or what people are looking to see, or what they think is needed for the community.
So Fred, you're going to have to get rid of your power plant now.
Yeah, Michael, I live on Cedar Hill Road.
Oh, I live right off of Cedar Hill Road. I mean, look, Homer Simpson will be mad, but otherwise we'll be fine.
What do you mean concerned about? Guys, what I'd like to see in this, I don't remember doing it at all, but we have nothing in here about affordable housing.
Wait a minute.
Before we get down that road, though, hold on
I
a
think
second.
it's a little bit further down, isn't it? We discussed this before.
I think we discussed it.
Yeah, I think there is.
Well,
I
I
know
think
that
about
it's-
12C.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
that's
know,
exactly where I was jumping, sir. The idea being that that's a very leading question that doesn't really deal with the comprehensive plan. The idea being that if Stefano's burns to the ground and I decide to put another restaurant there, that has nothing to do with anything that can be addressed by the comprehensive plan. The idea being that we really want legitimate input from the people who live in the community about, yes, I don't necessarily want a smelter, next to St. Mary. And that's a legitimate concern. However, things like zoning tend to prevent that. My concern, you're concerned about new business or service development. People are going to say the same things, none of which can necessarily be addressed without dealing with things that are kind of beyond the purview of the comprehensive plan. Like if you don't want the aforementioned nuclear power plant on Cedar Hill Road, that's a zoning issue. That's not a comprehensive plan issue.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but ultimately the goal here is when we have a plan, the town can implement things. And so I understand what you're saying about a plan, but there should be a connection to how do these things get implemented, whether it's zoning or some other thing. There are other, you know what I mean? You're right,
I get what you're
zoning.
saying, and I respect where you're coming from.
Gauge of what the concerns of the town are.
Then perhaps what to kind of address what you're saying, then maybe my concern is really about how it's phrased.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, the idea being that when people come back with things like, okay, fine, I don't want additional cars going down 52, which PS, none of us do anyway. But when you talk about new business or service, that kind of gets buried, like replacement businesses versus me taking something that's historically been just empty land that happened to be zone GB and making it something else. That's really in the context of me taking that particular plot and making that into a marijuana dispensary or a strip club or something that's morally unconscionable to probably 40% of any community, versus what are my concerns about increasing the footprint of business in town or the footprint of services that are being provided in town, where you do have the ancillary issues that do make sense, like parking, like traffic, like foot traffic, like public transportation, like litter, or adverse impacts on water or wastewater treatment systems. Maybe it's just the phrasing, because I see what you're going toward, but my main concern about business, if I'm just filling it out, it's well, I want more businesses because more businesses are going to pay more taxes, which means that maybe my tax bill won't go up next year. And so rather than turning it into a political open-ended question about people's opinions, maybe we should phrase it differently to better understand what residents and taxpayers are legitimately concerned about businesses existing in town, or the potential for new businesses in new spaces, not just replacing El Bartolino with a Greek restaurant.
I mean, I guess I'm looking at 12A and 12C are sort of counterparts. So 12A is just say, what are your main wishes for new or needed businesses or service development? It's kind of an open-ended question, and maybe 12C isn't open-ended enough in the other direction.
I don't know. I think asking what are your main wishes, what if somebody doesn't have one? So do you have, main wishes for new or needed businesses or service developments? That's yes or no. Then they could elaborate. When you say what are your main, then it makes people think what should they do? And it's the same thing where you say, where would you like to see new, needed businesses, right? Would you like to see new needed businesses? Because again, the where and the what is what to me kind of sparks people to think. And then they don't really kind of lean on their own understanding, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I struggled with those two because I didn't think it should be what and where, but that was just my opinion.
Right.
No, actually, Kenya, I agree with you. It's like, all right, what do you want to see? Which is fine. It's like, I want a Spumoni parlor. However, like they're obviously, does that work? Doesn't that work? Doesn't really matter. But you're
right. It's like the what are you? What are your main wishes? Well, do you have main wishes? Right? Because some people don't. Some people will say, no, I don't even want it. So if you put the yes or no at the end of that, it gives the person the opportunity to say whether they want it. But when you say what are your, it pushes the person to actually, make a decision. And so I don't like the what and the where, but again, that's me.
Do you have wishes for new or needed businesses or service development? Yes, no. And then if yes, please elaborate on what those are and what concerns you may have.
Say that again, Ann. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the first part.
So if you say something to the effect of, now I get it. It took me a while, Michael, to follow what you were saying, but I think I do have an understanding now of what you're saying. So if you were to phrase the question.
And we can't hear you.
You're cutting out.
Yeah.
Can you, yeah.
I'm gonna turn off my video because sometimes that has the volume. So if you were to phrase that, do you have wishes for new or needed business or service development? Yes or no? And
yes.
Then if yes, please elaborate to share to share what those might be and any concerns you may have.
How about do you have wishes for new or needed business development? Yes or no? If yes, what are they?
What are they?
Right.
And if no, why not? Because like Michael was saying, some people may not, I think it was Michael that was saying it, they may not want more business, which I don't know. I mean, maybe that would be a worthwhile question to ask. Does that make sense? Did I understand you correctly, Michael?
So do you have wishes for new or needed business development? Yes or no? If yes, what are they? If no, why not?
There you go. I like that.
Okay. And then are we getting rid of where?
I don't like the where, but that's just me. There's a bunch of people here. The where,
the where actually is important because with the where you get an like the idea being now this is the check on the zoning and planning. And so far as yes, we've well established that 9 is a business commerce corner and Lomala is all residential. But if there's an outcry in the community that we absolutely need to have I don't even know, I can't even kind of picture an example.
A little deli on a corner.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone wants to put a deli in Glenham or Beacon Hills, then like this is the time to come and hear that. And if there's enough of that, then yes, the problem moves beyond the comprehensive plan. It gets kicked down to people who can actually affect that kind of change.
But we don't give them place examples. We just say, where would you like to see new or needed business? New/needed businesses or service in the town.
Yeah.
So here's my concern with the where.
Okay.
Is that where belongs there, but I don't feel like it belongs in the beginning of a sentence. So would you like to see new or needed businesses or services in the town? That's a yes or no question, right? If yes, same thing as the above. Yes, you elaborate. No, why not? And if so, where? If you agree, where? So there's where the where goes at.
Bingo.
For me. Again,
Yeah.
like it should not be worded the way it is. Where is the aftermath?
Well, maybe
because you want to know if people would like to see it. Again, where is the prompting word for me?
Anywhere
would
but
you
not
like
in
to
my
see- it's
backyard.
Great, just move where, I think. Would you like to see, say, would you like to see new or needed businesses or services in the town? That's a yes or no. If yes, where? If no, why? Why not? If we're even looking for the why not. I don't know if we're looking for the why not.
Like it, Ken.
So, okay, so just repeating, we can go on to the other ones. We can change them. The first question is, do you have wishes for new or needed business or service development? Yes or no? If yes, what are they? If yes, where? And then if no, why not?
Did you go back to 12A? Is that what you did?
No, I feel like she kind of aggregated 12A through C.
It looks like
Yeah.
we kind of, well, I
I was
think
like-
we're getting rid of, we'll worry about the numbering later, but I think 12B is going away and is going to become, if yes, where?
That's like 12A1.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going away, but that wasn't
It's not going
the
away.
plan. It's just, would you like to, I'm confused. Would
Oh,
you
I see
like
what you're
to
saying.
see new or needed businesses or services in the
I
town?
gotcha.
It stays there. It's a yes or no. If yes, where?
Got it.
And then it gives them that. So when you say where in the beginning of the sentence, it's lead in. It says where. Oh, let me think about where that. First, we need it if you even want it. So, like that's
I got it. I got it.
And just like 12C, like what are your main concerns about, do you have concerns about new businesses? Because again, it's a lead in, I watch a lot of 48, straight 48. Like you can't ask all of these questions that make people, give the wrong answer because you plant it in their head and then that's what they say. So what are your main concerns? Do you have concerns about new businesses or service development?
Yes or
That's
no?
another. Yes. And if it's a yes, or no, if it's yes, please elaborate. Because again, we want to see if there's a pattern where the community is going in one direction or if it's just a mixture of things.
Keep going. You're on a roll.
No, I did this already. That's what I'm saying. I did all of these things. List a place, event, or other thing that you enjoy or value about the town of Fishkill. I like that. That was fine to me. I didn't have a problem.
And before we leave 12, I want to make sure I've got it the way you guys want it. So 12 is answer the following questions about the creation and development of new or needed businesses in the town. Do you have wishes for new or needed business development? Yes or no? If yes, what are they? If no, why not? And the next question is going to be, would you like to see new/needed business or services in the town? Getting rid of the places, yes or no? If yes, where? And then 12C is, do you have concerns about new business or service development? Yes or no? If yes, please elaborate.
That's fine with me. Is everybody else okay with that? I'm just one of the many.
I'm not even getting in your way on that one, Kenya. Did a great job.
I think these are good changes, clarifications.
Yeah, good
Yes.
reframing. Good reframing.
Well done. Well done.
So 12, are we sort of okay?
Yeah. Listen.
All right, so 13 and 14, anything on those?
I didn't like problem, but I guess people could go off on a tangent, right? But I think that I guess that's, I don't know. I was trying to think of a better word, but I think,
How about concerns or issues?
yeah, I
Concerns.
didn't like problem. Thank you.
No, the whole wording is awful. Hang on a
Yes,
second.
it is. It doesn't flow. You need a semicolon or something.
No, Elizabeth, or other thing that you do not like about or is a problem in Fishkill.
List the place, event, or other thing. Other thing. What is the other thing? What's the other thing? List the place, event, or other thing. What do we mean by that? Other thing.
It should be any other concern.
Yeah, list the
Yup.
place, event, or say that again.
Any
Say that
other
again, Michael.
concern.
List the
Exactly.
place, event, or any other concern.
Yeah, that's a
Is
key
that
word
at
right
the
there,
end?
concern.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about 14, right? Is that a problem?
Yeah, 14
Michael,
should,
you talking about problem?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying we can scratch problem. The idea being to substitute any other thing with any other concern. Or, or thing that you
list
do
the
not
place,
like that is a
event,
problem
or
in Fishkill. The idea
Okay.
being that you're going to get people who are going to say like, oh, I live in Glenham or Beacon Hills and the creek overflowing is a big concern, which is actually legitimately a town problem. Or the roads in Beacon Hills, and I hate to keep picking on them, or Glenham stink because, there's a bunch of erosion after snowstorms and salt and so on and so forth. It's a catch-all for problems that we may not see that other people are perceiving or otherwise realizing.
So list a place, event, or what Michael said that you like, enjoy, or value about the town of Fishkill. And then list a place, event that you do not like about or is a concern in Fishkill.
Yes.
hey, guys, why not just list the place, events, or other things that you have concerns about in Fishkill?
I don't like the other thing, like the other things.
Or just,
I think Michael
might not
gave
be a
worded.
place or an event. It could be something else.
It could be something else.
I think other thing needs to stay. I mean, for me personally, because it's like
Like
what
other thing? Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like-
unless you want to say other what than thing.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
I know. That's
Well, my thing is you need to keep it vague with thing because yes, you're gonna get somebody who's gonna say, look, I don't like the shadow on Route 9 when the sun's setting. It's like, guess what? There's a mountain there. We can't fix that. However,
why
it
not
might be
just,
something outside the scope of what we're considering that in aggregate might be a concern.
Place, event, system. I don't know.
please list events or please list the place, events, or any other
Item,
concerns
concern item, yeah.
that you have about
I think
Fishkill?
other thing just.
That's a real open
Try not
question.
running like-
Yeah.
That's a real open question. I don't like my neighbors.
Yeah. But that's not actionable, so we can't really be bothered with that.
Yep.
Someone's going to complain about the color of the facade at town hall. Once again, not our problem. But my thing is that when you leave it open-ended, it does open the I guess our evaluation of the responses to consider things beyond what we're trying to get answers for.
Right. So you narrow the question so that you hone in on stuff. That's what it is. So thing to me is very vague to me. Thing is not it. Like coming from a public speaker, thing is not it.
No, I get the diction issue with thing, Kenya. I'm just saying that you want to keep it vague on purpose because we're looking for things beyond what we're actually looking.
Okay. I'm not gonna, if everybody's okay with it, it's all right.
Thing, that's fine. And I'll fight with you about that all day, but it should be equally vague, even if you take issue with the word thing.
I'm just looking up thing in the thesaurus.
Thing one and thing two. Come on. Somebody might say,
We don't know what things are. We've all watched Wheel of Fortune as kids. It's just the idea that yes, a thing, some noun that has some sort of tangible connection to the town of Fishkill that may be something that someone does not like that potentially may be actionable by this committee or the actions of this committee.
Maybe we should get a legal opinion.
Is there a lawyer
I
now?
think we have to go back.
We have a lawyer.
Jonathan.
A thing. I mean, I'm not sure that has a legal opinion that is needed.
That's good. You're going to be a great lawyer. No, but seriously,
If everybody's okay with it, it could stay. I mean, it's not an issue.
unless, I mean,
Maybe
I
it
don't
should
know.
say other thing. I don't know. Maybe say list the place, event, or thing that you like, enjoy, or value about the town of Fishkill. Maybe it's other thing. I don't know.
maybe it's
take
the other
word
part
out.
you don't like. List of
No, it's just
places.
that it doesn't flow for me, and thing is
That's
very
cool.
vague. But it's vague on purpose. I just learned the lesson.
Well, what if
I got to understand, I'm the last person in the room. I should probably be doing more listening than talking. However, as a
No,
matter
it's
of
fine.
what you're trying to engender from the people taking this survey, if thing is not necessarily the right word, that's fine. We can, jump into the thesaurus and come up with an alternative word to describe what we're looking for. However, I looked at the two questions, 13 and 14, in conjunction with each other and saw a situation where you're looking to find what people like and what people don't like about Fishkill in the context of what can possibly be solved by updating the comprehensive plan.
So list a place, event, or something else that you like, enjoy, or value about the town of Fishkill.
Something
If you go with
else.
something else, I'm fine with that.
That's
Yeah, I
good.
just don't like things. I like.
Or hang on, this is good.
That flows better. Right? We take that
So
out.
for 13, list a place, event, or something else that you like, enjoy, or value about the town of Fishkill. List a place, event, or something else.
That you do not like about or
Yeah, so
problem
we're
is-
replacing other thing with
that
something
you-
else.
And you don't have, Liz, in 14, you left out town of Fishkill in that sentence. And it just goes in Fishkill.
Town of Fishkill.
Yeah. I had that in my notes. I'm sorry.
No, this is good.
15 also goes with this, if you look down a little bit too.
Are we done though with 14? List a place, event, or something else that you do not like or is a problem in Fishkill?
Do not like about
I'm getting rid of about. It's awkward.
the town. Yeah. Yeah, do not like.
If we get rid of about, I think it's less lumpy.
Or is a problem in
the town.
The town.
You can
In the town.
Yeah, there's no preposition there. So
yeah.
So yes, if we're gonna strike about, you gotta, or about, or, it would be replaced with, something else that you do not like in the town of Fishkill, or is a problem in the town of Fishkill. But about's just wordy.
That's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read it and you guys tell me if I have it right. List a place, event, or something else that you do not like or is a problem in the town of Fishkill.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's good.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, go to 15.
Mr. Cancer said there was an issue. You got to pull it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I was like, I don't have my glasses on. Is it like not showing up here?
Nope, you're absolutely right. I need more coffee. Okay, go ahead.
One thing I would like to see more of in the town of Fishkill is, okay. Mr. Cancer, what was you saying here about this one?
What I was saying is it just sort of goes right along with 13 and 14 above.
It's duplicative. I don't know if we need it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
But I would
I'd like
pull
to
it.
see
I have
more.
to say, yeah.
I'd like to see an ocean view.
Committee meeting.
But I know that we don't have like community days. There's a lot of stuff that we don't have on the Fishkill that, people, that used to be here. Organizations setting up for camp. So there's a lot of stuff.
Wait, hold on. Don't do that.
I see your point.
And you made it one thing. So are they limited to the one thing?
It was
Well,
just I guess that was just the phrasing of the sentence. I don't
that's
even
fine.
remember where that,
I don't,
what that evolved from. Hang
you
on.
might want to limit them. I don't know.
Well, you can just change that to are there other things I would like to see more of in the town of Fishkill if you want more than one. That's a simple change.
Well,
I think people will add more than one if they feel like adding more than one anyway. So I think saying one is fine.
Okay.
I think everybody's
Liz, you
gonna say
can leave
more
one.
taxes.
More taxes? Right.
Okay.
You tried that.
All right, so tell us a few things about yourself. Go ahead. You
Liz,
say something.
hey, I'm curious. There are some things that maybe the public is willing to pay for out of their tax dollars to improve Fishkill. Should that be some of our concern? Because things that, we're seriously lacking is infrastructure in a lot of our, in our municipality. We just redid Beacon Hills because of the infrastructure that was for the water. And we do have the Hunt development where we need the infrastructure for septic. We have failing septics over there continuously.
Well, that does come out of tax dollars. Right? I
understand,
mean, we might bond it or get grants, but
is that something we should be covering in the comprehensive plan and asking the people if they're willing to do that?
Well, I mean, I don't,
how
definitely.
else do you pay for it? I mean, if you want to ask what infrastructure do you think you need in your area or something like that, but as opposed to how you pay for it, well, it's kind of one way how we pay for things, and it's through,
It's tax dollars or grants.
Tax dollars, grants, bonds, which is tax dollars.
Don't you open up to them answering that in that question we just talked about, though? What's the one thing I would like to see more of? I don't know. Maybe that opens up right there to them adding whatever they'd like.
I know we had visited this when we talked about sidewalks, and we said that when new development happens, most new communities, we incorporate sidewalks in there to kind of get them in there. And then there was a question about whether or not, how do we get sidewalks in communities that don't already have them? And so I don't recall what the final answer was on that, and if there even was a final answer, but I know that we did discuss this.
We discussed it, but we also have one of our questions that kind of leads into that, at least in this survey, is if I walk or bike somewhere, check all that apply. Where are people going? That's a pretty important piece of information, especially the dirt pathways.
Well,
and then we asked for suggest where or how improvements such as sidewalks, bike paths, or lanes. So a pedestrian aspect, we've done that. Are we suggesting putting in a comment, where would you like to see water and sewer?
I'm just leaving as an open question for this group to see how you'd like to handle. Because a big, every time you talk to somebody, I would like this, I would like that, I would like that. Well, how are we going to pay for?
Yeah, what are you willing to pay for?
So we did actually end up with number 20, which talks about use of tax dollars for improving sidewalks. That was one specific thing that we thought was important enough.
Mm-hmm.
We could probably add some other things like that. Use of tax dollars for X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, maybe that question would be expanded.
Yeah.
Would you support the use of tax dollars for, and then?
Yeah, I like that.
And then you would list things and they could say yes or no to each item?
Well, again,
So,
would
Mr. Chancellor, how about
you be willing to use tax dollars
water
to
pipes are old, they are
infrastructure?
breaking. So how about adding it there?
I was getting too.
Or list it, I think you could list it. I think you could be specific, because I think when you start talking about people's pipes, then that becomes a big issue. That's a very hefty ticket for families, you know what I'm saying, to have to pay when pipes go, and then it just gets, assigned to the water district. So I think that it's okay to add it to that question 20, and then just be specific as we can.
Yeah, so we could reformat 20 with like an A, sidewalks, B, sewer and water infrastructure, C, whatever else people want to add.
That sounds good.
You could do a similar, list 1 through 7, where do you think tax dollars should be focused? You know, give them a list of 8 things or whatever and say, you know, prioritize them 1 through 8, like you did, what question was that? Question 4.
Okay, so should we go back on schedule with where we are right now? We'll take 20 when it comes around.
Yeah, and I think we want to, realize by the time we're done, we're going to have 5 full pages for members of the public to fill out. So let's, just keep that in mind. How long are they going to hang in? And are there things, if we want to expand other places, we want to take some things out in other parts? So where we were on 16.
Okay.
And this is all demographic stuff. Choose your age group, and it goes, these are the groups that I'd understood that the committee wanted, and they look like good age groups. Any questions about that one?
No.
And then 16B, tell us what levels of
Liz,
go ahead. Yeah,
are we
sure.
going to use the demographics in some way?
You want to get,
I hear, yeah, but in what way?
we want to know who's answering this. I think it's helpful to know that. It's not going to reflect the demographic of the community. The demographic of the community you can get from census reports.
All right, as long as we're going to use it for some purpose,
I don't
let's
know.
throw it out. Hey, I'm one for
Right.
throwing out.
No, it's a good question.
I mean, because we cover 16, 17, 18, all right? Or 16, excuse me, just 16 on just demographics. If they think there's a need for it, then good, have it. But I don't know,
I think it's helpful information.
Everything's helpful, but is it going to be useful?
It's useful to measure, like, I gotta be honest with you, on the surface, I don't care if the person has no formal schooling or they're a doctorate. The challenge is that when you take a look at, and this is why where originally I would have said 16B, we don't need it, don't ask for it. It's probably important for us to recognize how the results that we get from the survey actually mirror the community. If 90% of the people who respond to the survey, have, high 6-figure or 7-figure incomes and they're all, doctorate level, graduates, then that's not a fair representation of the people in the town of Fishkill.
Like, who are we not
While
reaching?
we don't need it to be actionable for making decisions, it is actionable to measure the responses against the known census demographics for this metropolitan statistical area, for lack of a better term.
Very well put. Yes, that's right. That was so good it had music attached to it.
I'm just trying to be eloquent.
Moving on.
Because honestly, when I looked at it, my first thought was 16B is not necessary. I don't care where you went to school or how smart you are. But if you just start to break down statistically the responses we get, and people start to fall off the curve disproportionately with the number of responses, when we as a committee make decisions, that's something to take into consideration.
The only reason I brought it up was because we're talking about adding more to it and making it longer.
Understood.
That's
No,
all right.
it's
Let's
good.
leave
It's
it.
a good,
Let's leave it.
it's a
Move
good
on.
question.
Yeah, let's move on.
It's a good question.
I mean,
Don't pause or Fred will think of something else to say.
yeah, I don't worry. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I think the age group is more important to me than all the rest of it. Because the age group is telling me, what they want, how much they make and how much, what their education is.
I guess I also thought the household income was going to tell us something about.
Yeah.
This is one thing about
And we do have a problem now with household income in Fishkill, and we do have another category above 150, 200.
well, but it
For some reason, it's
also
gone way up.
is during a pandemic year. So maybe you want to ask for an average from the last 3 years or 4 years or whatever.
Oh, for the income?
Correct.
I don't even know if I could.
I don't think we have to go that deep.
You have to get that in deep. Because I don't
Yeah,
even think.
I really, once again, like the 16A totally need, because what children want, what teenagers want, what young adults want, what middle-aged people like myself want, and what old people want are are 4 or 5 very different things. Taking people's responses, measuring them against their demographics helps you understand what we need now, what we should have had, and what we need to have to keep people living here and not moving somewhere else. Once you get to, I'm sorry, I just have to pull up the PDF you brought up because you haven't scrolled down.
Sorry, I lost track of what I was doing here. Sorry, I was going to the track changes one.
I'm sorry.
No, I was listening.
But 16C total sense, because yes, people who have children under 18 in their household obviously have concerns about schooling and access to schooling and recreational needs that, most adults don't necessarily have. Like, yes, I love to go and enjoy the green spaces. I don't necessarily need a slide or a seesaw. So yes, that's important. 16C definitely important, especially since disproportionately, just as a matter of how we're marketing this, you're not going to have my 10-year-old son fill a survey out.
Although he could.
Oh, he physically could, yes. But my thing is that we're not marketing it to him. He doesn't know what his favorite skin is in Fortnite, much less what's best for the future of Fishkill, which is why he doesn't fill these things out. But 16D also, once again, makes sense to compare not so much how wealthy our town is, because we're not trying to recreate the census, but at the same time, when you look at the responses and measure them against what we know to be true from the census and the IRS, we have a better understanding as to not only who we're reaching with the survey, but what particular sub-demographics in this community actually want. Rich people want a golf course, poor people want something else.
All right, let's move on. Let's leave it as it is.
We can always come back.
Yeah.
And this is all verbal scale. And again, it could do a bar here instead.
Just to keep it consistent, I would do a bar.
Being in real estate, I have a real serious question with 17. I don't know what moderate housing is anymore.
Well, maybe you could define better what affordable housing is. I think moderate. I think that's the problem with using the term affordable, is that it means something different to everybody. But moderate income usually has a connotation of a certain income range that includes people like teachers, firefighters, police, people who would love to live in the town but probably can't afford to. So that's an affordability issue that maybe needs to be addressed.
What is housing for moderate income residents?
It's going to be like median income. Or maybe it's going to be 80 to 100% to 120% of median income. And I'm going to just say a few words here. Affordable housing, the word isn't used anymore because there are now euphemistic terms instead, as if affordable housing is something awful. I have personal feelings about that. So now we came up with workforce housing because somehow that's more acceptable, and moderate income, I guess, is an even more acceptable term. So that's kind of why we have that. I mean, we can change the question. We can open it right up. I've sat through a lot of, comprehensive planning and zoning things where affordable housing gets literally whacked around like it's some kind of awful thing. But there are always going to be people that need lower rents or don't want to own or whatever. And
Okay. One of the questions I think, and I'm just reading through it quick, is called, because affordable housing is off the wall right now. But rental house, rental developments, do we have anything in there for rentals? Affordable rental units? Because that's the big ticket that we're talking about.
Well, but if you're talking about the resident as opposed to the structure, I think if the wording is agreed upon, I think that might reflect the entirety of what we're trying to say rather than, because whether somebody's renting or buying, if they have moderate income, that may cover either one of them. I don't know.
Well, and you sort of break up, when you're doing this, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with mine tonight. Sorry.
Yeah. You're just breaking up. We can't hear you.
Maybe try calling in again.
Yeah. Once you get off and come back.
All right. Done.
But I think that, looking at it, I think the phrase moderate income residents doesn't make sense. Maybe if we want to say residents with moderate incomes, that
okay,
a little better phrase.
No.
I take issue with the word encourage. And it's not just about moderate income housing, it's about all of it. The idea being that the comprehensive plan is really supposed to be about the town's ability to affect the use and enjoyment of the land that's within within this municipal subdivision. When you get into the word encourage, are we talking about compelling, Brian and Jackie to change policies as it relates to how we're spending our tax dollars here? Are we talking about changing zoning? Are we talking about providing economic incentives like pilots or other kind of programs to get people to physically build these things? I understand in the spirit of the question what we're looking at. Like, do the residents of the town of Fishkill think that we should apply municipal resources to have housing for moderate income people, seniors, mixed use, all the ones that have the verb encourage attached with them? However, while it's a fair question to ask, is that really within the scope of the comprehensive plan, since it's really not a use issue and it's really a policy issue to be decided by the legislature? It's a town board.
The town board should be guided, in part by the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
I mean,
Michael,
in my opinion,
it's our job.
as a planner.
Michael, it is our job.
I mean, if it's the word encourage, and you're right, you've named several ways that those kinds of things could be affected. You're absolutely right. There are several directions. It could be zoning, funding. It could be
encourage. I look at this as being as partisan as some people here are or aren't. I'm not looking to, the plan for the town really shouldn't be a partisan issue, and it shouldn't really be a political issue, to be honest with you. The idea being that we're all supposed to be ostensibly acting in the best interest of what's good for the town. And
which is why the survey is. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying my challenge is that when you say encourage, being that you're not describing what the encouragement is this just an open, are we just now surveying people about policy and not necessarily about how to make the town directly a better place or a sustainable place for us to all to continue to live our lives. And so if we're going to start, like, I feel like this one, the word encourage kind of puts this into that gray area of policy and not necessarily, not the policy in the context of all this is a bad thing, but are we pushing people for policy-based decisions when we really should be looking more along the lines of, do we need more moderate income housing in Fishkill, yes or no? Do we need more senior housing within the town of Fishkill, yes or no? And the same for, mixed use development, or, do we need to spend more tax dollars improving or adding sidewalks?
But what if we changed it to
Yeah,
say,
that's a good
do we
point,
need?
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and we can hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, good suggestion. Thank you, Fred.
So for example, 17, would it be, do we need housing for moderate income residents in the town of Fishkill?
Could we change the word from moderate to modest? Moderate is a much
I think
stronger word than modest.
Yeah.
I think moderate income housing has a certain meaning in the field of planning, let's say.
Okay.
It's not like all residents will know exactly what it means, but modest housing might be even a totally different perception.
Could be an architectural choice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or it could be like a tiny house or something like that.
But I understand, James. I get what you're coming from.
Without presuming to speak or offer too many suggestions to the committee, I would simply note that one word which I often see associated when we're dealing with the word income is the word median. So perhaps if we're thinking median income housing, which would be respective of individuals who are earning around the average for residents currently living in the town, if that word might be agreeable as opposed to a word like modest or moderate, which could have other interpretations, which could potentially have a political or a partisan ring to them if interpreted the wrong way.
I mean, median works for me. I don't know how people feel.
No, I like median.
I like it.
So, median is good. It's
Well done,
consistent
Greg.
language.
You're hired.
Would it then be, should the town of Fishkill, say the sentence again? I'm sorry, Liz.
I think, and you guys will correct me, we wanted to say something like, do we need median income housing for residents in the town of Fishkill?
I think we were going to say more housing.
Lower than median income, because I think that to me, I'm interpreting this question as being people who are not necessarily the average, who are earning less than the average income. Do we need to consider housing for them?
Hey, guys, all the housing that we've been building in the town of Fishkill or in basically Dutchess County, all right, has been for the medium housing development, housing. Most of the parents would like to have their kids stay in the area, and the kids getting a first job, all right, and they want them out of the house, need a place to go.
Like an apartment.
We're going to talk about having housing built for a kid who's going to go into an apartment or something like that, or a condo. All right. Are we talking about having that as a priority, or still what we're doing is like Toll Brothers came in, and Toll Brothers basically was for medium housing in Dutchess County.
Not anymore.
Well,
earlier, somebody
but
said
I'm
something
saying,
about rental.
But Toll Brothers was for medium housing. Right?
But they also sold the senior housing and got money.
Right, they bought back, yeah.
So my impression of these kinds of questions, and it applies to some of these others too, is that it's a starting point. This isn't the end all. The survey isn't going to be the end all for answering all these questions.
I think that's a good point.
It's a starting point to flesh out what people are thinking and what people are wanting in the town. And hopefully we'll be able to have a, a more direct line of communication at a public forum where we can begin to start fleshing these things out.
Like, for instance, we could spend a long time on saying, well, okay, let's encourage senior housing, but what is that? And that could be a long discussion. But I think in order to get through these here in a timely fashion here, I'm very conscious of people's time. I think your point, Jonathan, is very well made. It's a starting point.
And speaking of which, I will have to jump off the show in about 10 minutes or 9 minutes, actually.
That's about when we should be ending.
I have an additional question. So that I wanted to propose potentially for the survey. So, I mean, I can put that in an email.
Well,
have a moment to get through the last couple of questions, then I'll pose it and speak to everybody about my additional question.
I guess I want to go back. These questions originally were on that scale. I think we were on a good path when we said correct the wording if I'm wrong here. Do we need median income housing for residents in the town of Fishkill? But now we're asking a question.
Yeah.
And then can they still say strongly encourage, strongly support, or very important?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Are you okay with that wording for 17?
Should the town of Fishkill?
Yeah.
You want me to read it again? And you can.
Yeah, read it.
The structure is like this. Do we need median income housing for residents in the town of Fishkill?
Can I say, I think like all of these are yes or no questions, whereas I think they should just be statements. The town of Fishkill needs moderate income housing.
Okay, so it would say
neither discouraged, neither important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I like
that
that.
makes sense. Yep.
So
How
instead
about
of a
it?
scale
So-
of 1 to 5, you say yes or no?
Yeah.
So that way it's very neutral and they can put where they are on the continuum.
So if we're staying with the continuum, right? This one would say the town of Fishkill needs median income housing for residents.
Yeah.
Agree,
No.
disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just take it and say the town of Fishkill should encourage housing for moderate. The town of Fishkill should encourage senior housing, or should consider senior housing. Town of Fishkill should consider mixed use. The town of Fishkill should use tax dollars to improve sidewalks. The town of Fishkill needs renewable energy. The town of Fishkill needs green building practices. And then they would say, I agree, I disagree, don't care one way or the other.
To expound on what Jackie's saying, like if you're going to put it on a scale and not make it a yes, no question, I think that's more actionable for the entire committee. And, we can turn it around the other way and like, should the town of Fishkill provide tax incentives to people who build apartments or buildings or businesses or whatever the case may be. But if you ask these questions on a 1 to 5 scale and not a yes or no, I feel like that not only gives us the answers that we're looking for in terms of what's important for the community, but it also lets us see how the community views these things as a priority or a great concern to them personally / professionally, depending on whether or not it's a person who lives here or a person who just works here.
So like the other question where on a scale of 1 to 5, we could do the same type of thing.
So we're sticking with the scale of 1 to 5.
I mean, if you wanted to be consistent, you could do it that way.
I think it seems to take possibly more of a pulse of the community. So it's a good idea, Mike.
Yeah, I think the way the questions were worded, it almost made it sound like they were yes or no questions rather than the 1 to 5 scale.
Well, that's how I would have answered them. Like, and how could you not
Yeah.
answer yes to them all? You know.
Yeah. So I like making it clearer that it's a 1 to 5 scale that we're looking for.
So
if you went with the visual indicator with the thermometer or the bar chart or whatever nomenclature you want to put on it, where you actually describe it as, okay, I'm really passionate about, the senior housing, and I don't care about solar, but I do want the town to, to demand lead architecture moving forward, which really is kind of a takeaway from 22. If you're going to go down that road, then yes, making it visual so people can kind of, demonstrate their interest or support for it is probably the best way.
You can have some cucumber for your vegetable if you want.
I'm sorry, I just stepped on somebody. Please repeat yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was yelling at one of my kids. I'm sorry.
I want a cucumber.
I want a glass of wine, Dad.
just press the button on the right. So to reframe these for this, 17 might say something like, the town of Fishkill should encourage median income housing for residents. And then they can strongly agree, support, whatever.
Yeah.
And so they would all be worded that way. So the 18 would be, the town of Fishkill should encourage senior housing.
I thought we were taking out the word encourage.
Okay.
What was you had
for senior housing?
So the town of Fishkill should something median income housing for residents.
You had rephrased it in a manner to take the word encourage out. Now I can't remember.
Encourage falls on the line of support.
Yeah, no, I'm saying encourage is fine if we're going to actually rate, like I said, when you take the question out of context and make it a yes, no, it's a policy issue. When you put the bubble scale there and you make it a 1 to 5 thing to see how strongly encourage or strongly discourage something is, you can leave it the way it is.
Right.
I'm just saying, I was remiss in trying to make this a policy-based thing based on yes, no questions. But when you scroll up and you see answer through 1 through 5 with, strongly encourage or strongly, strongly discourage, the context isn't as important because you're really trying to gauge somebody's intensity or passion for a particular issue.
So you're gauging, you're making a statement to get a reaction.
Yeah. And so if that was your intention, if that was the committee's intention before I got here to make it that way, then if you provide the visual scale like we described for the other questions, it makes more sense.
I agree. We should
context of me
mirror
physically
that.
seeing it on Elizabeth's screen, I couldn't see the 1 through 3 originally, and so I didn't understand.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
It's okay, but this is where context matters.
Oh, I feel
that's why we're
horrible
sitting
now.
here at 9 o'clock at night arguing about this. So I have no problem with that. But if the original intention was for it to be 1 through 5, and we're going to go with this visual scale for people to go ahead and, click on the right radio button or shade in the right number or whatever the case may be, then it makes sense.
And honestly, on this one, putting a bar here means I have to put a bar after every question.
Yeah, for 17 through 22.
I'm sorry, that's where the bar just, I mean, we've kind of, is it okay if we use words at the top of this one? Because then they all flow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Has any consideration been made? And I'm sorry, I know I'm the last person in the room. Has any consideration been made as to how the data is going to be tabulated in context with the questions that we're actually asking?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I don't want, you know what I want to do? I want to be able to revise this for all of you. And because I think we have a structure to reframe 17 through 22. And so here's my question. So I'm going to revise this thing. And I guess I'm going to send it back out to everybody. Or the committee's going to pick a few people to make the final decision. How would you guys like to do that? If we're going to try to launch it by March 9th or 16th.
Can I enter my request for an additional question at this point?
Sure.
So, as some of you may know, I run a not-for-profit animal rescue organization. And there's been a noted increase in the importance that the general population places on companion animals in our social environment. Stray Help and our colleagues have witnessed a dramatic increase in animal hoarding, animal cruelty, abandonment, violence against community animals. They're being shot, limbs are being severed from traps, so on. Concerns that community members have include access to affordable animal care, pet accessible housing, emergency preparedness, supply in the food chain. So I'm proposing a question that maybe gets added to the survey, maybe just gets addressed with the plan in and of itself. But here's my question: should the town, thank you, Jonathan. Should the town of Fishkill consider updating current ordinances and expanding resource development for residents to care for animals within the community?
I'm not certain that would be a comprehensive plan. I think that's another issue, for the town to take up. I'm not quite certain.
Well, I think that it would be where the general.
I can't hear you, Ann.
You're breaking, we're not able to hear you.
And this is a whole topic. We're right at 9. I'm not trying to be rude, Ann, but I'm real conscientious of people volunteering and time. So I'm wondering if that could be emailed out, Ann, to people in your question. And then I think, Liz, you're going to update all these and send them out. And as far as making a decision on stuff, that's a very delicate question. I don't know what people would like to do as far as, final decision here, what input, so we could, what do you want to do?
I see where you're going with this, Brian. I mean, if people have other questions, maybe we can go ahead and float them out to the group. Because, I mean, to be fair, while that's not a priority for me personally, I don't own pets. I do get where that can turn out to be something actionable where, hey, maybe the town does try and fund through Dutchess County SCPA an enforcement officer that serves the town. I don't think that that's necessarily a reality for us. However, it may be if you get this kind of overwhelming response from the community. Same idea goes with the question that I proposed specifically about, providing, economic incentives for people to create more businesses within the confines of the town. And so if we want to float out additional kind of 23 through 25 questions, and then, come back and revisit, whatever 6 or 7 responses we get in the interim at the next meeting as potentially other questions in that same format to help engender where we're going with the community, then maybe that's probably the best venue to do that rather than sit here and talk about this for another 30 minutes.
Yeah. And I think that maybe we should have, all these corrections typed up and stuff. And I think really everyone has so many great ideas from my observation and research with you guys. I think everybody needs to be in on the final product,
So maybe we push back the launch.
Yeah. I think that would make everybody happy if they can look at it all together, because there's a lot of good give and take here tonight on all kinds of fronts. I think it would be a good thing to do. So
yeah, and when did we figure out the next meeting? Hang on. So I think we're talking about that our next meeting would be April 13th. Seems a long ways away, unless we can come up.
So Ann, I mean, if you make the revisions as we stated here, because we've all gone through this as a team, right? And then the revisions are done, and then Ann asks her question, and the committee gives the input, via email, to respond back to see whether that question gets added or it doesn't, then I think that we would be on the cusp of completing this survey where we would not have to delay it any further because we've all given input up until the last question. So it would just be like a look over to make sure that the survey is saying exactly what we all agreed upon and then going from there. So I don't know what the holdover would really be because we looked at all of these questions already.
Sounds good. So with that having been said, I think we're right here where we can just conclude and we'll wait for you to send everything out unless somebody else has some final words.
Right, do we agree on that? Because if we all agree, I mean, I'm not.
So I'm gonna revise this thing and then, Anne, are you gonna send me your questions to put into this or are you gonna send your questions separately? How do you want to do that?
Yeah, she says she's gonna send her questions tonight. She said that in the chat because she's having.
Okay, good.
So she'll
She
send
said-
that tonight, so everybody will have a chance to review it.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
make these edits, add in Anne's questions. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna add in under this one, I'm gonna add in one about sewer and water infrastructure. So I'll do a
Mike, did you
rewrite.
have a question you were going to throw in there, buddy?
Yeah, no, I just actually put it in the chat. I was gonna ask a question specifically about using, town dollars for encouraging economic development. That I felt like if we're gonna stick in the policy realm, engage what's going on, that we should probably ask a couple of other things. And so I'm gonna go ahead and send my questions as well. I don't know if the answers are put in the chat or just reply to the entire group.
It would be
But-
great if you'd reply to the whole group.
Yeah,
I would
reply-
appreciate that.
Then I will
Reply.
acquiesce to Liz's request and I will. Go
I don't
ahead
know
and-
how to look in the chat and do a copy
No,
and
that's
paste
fine.
right now.
Reply all, my thing is reply all has a sense of permanency. So when everyone goes back and says it's a bad idea, it has my name on it, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty tech savvy for somebody my age, but I get a little,
There's no ageism going on here.
well,
Right?
my
You're
son's
probably
always
younger than
telling
I
me
am,
to
and this
click
is all a bunch
around.
of malarkey anyway.
Remember I said I'm older than you.
Yeah, not by much, but
Are we done? I think we had a really great meeting.
yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
are awesome.
All right, so Liz, just set a
Thank
time
you,
frame
Liz.
for getting the responses back on this. So then if we could do that, then we still will be in line with trying to meet either the March, whatever, or the March 19th deadline. You see
Okay.
that? So
Yep.
people are
I
not
think-
like not getting back. Everybody, as soon as Liz sends it out, we should be responding, this way. The hope is that we just survey out dates.
Here's
Well, I
my
mean,
request
I don't know.
is that if Anne and Michael could get their stuff over to me maybe by Friday or Monday,
Mhm.
and then I'm gonna venture to try to get the revised item back out beginning of next week, no later than Wednesday. Only because I need to grab my mapping person and have her make a nice little insert.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. We're all in agreement and it was a good meeting. And
Very good meeting.
these
Yeah.
Megan, I guess these festivities are closed officially.
Okay, I'll stop the
And-
recording.
Everybody have a wonderful evening and thanks. Look forward to
Have
seeing
a
you
great
soon.
night, everyone.
Yes, thank you
Thank you.
all.
Bye,
Thank you,
bye.
Megan.
Thank you.
Great
Good
info.
night.
Well,
Thank you,
Good night.
Megan. Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Good night.